Good afternoon, phenomenal realtors and investors from across the country. Today is March 6th, 2019, and this is role play call number 40. We have two people in the queue. For any of you that may have been on our mastermind calls and haven't been here before, this one we try to make it a little bit different. The mastermind call is an open forum, questions, answers, concerns, comments, anything. Nothing's out of bounds. And nothing's out of bounds here, but we'd like to keep this in the form of a role play. Kind of like Jeopardy, you got to make it in the form of a question. So we'd like to keep this for practicing with our coach, things that are, challenging you, places you're getting stuck, maybe a response you didn't know what to say, that kind of thing. So, and you don't have to be the agent. Chad will be glad to be the agent or investor. You can be the seller if you like and share with us what you're running into. And as I just said a minute ago, if any of you have any successes or techniques that are working very well, please share those also. And you do that by hitting *6 and then hitting 1. Chad, we have two people in the queue. Any opening comments you want to make before we get started?
All right. See how we can help them.
All right. First up today is phone number ending in 1141. You're up first. Are you there? Well, I guess we lost. 1141, we lost you. Are you there? Go ahead, sir.
No, that was me. I was just going to say I defeated the objection before it could arrive.
There you go. You dropped out of the queue, whoever was in there with the phone number ending in 1141. So please hit *6 and hit 1 again. And or is it *6 and pound? Or yeah, *6 and 1. And then we do have Joyce is in the queue, phone number ending in 6248. You're up next, which I guess is going to be first.
Great. Good morning. I had a listing appointment with a gentleman, and he has two siblings, and they live out of state. But he's the executor that I met with said that he was planning on using his sister's realtor.
Okay.
And I asked him who the realtor was, and he didn't know. He just wants to make sure that his sister's wishes get honored. And I asked if the sister's realtor had probate experience or knowledge, and he said he didn't know. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm providing him as much value as I can. He's a hoarder, or his father was at least, and I'm trying to get his pool cleared away. I'm trying to, help him get his house cleaned out and all of that stuff. But I don't know how to get around the realtor that he's feeling a affinity for his sister.
Okay. You want to role play that, Chad? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yep, I have a few questions. So he's the executor.
Sure.
His sister is just an heir. She's not a co-executor. Is that right, Joyce?
Just a sibling. No legal capabilities other than an heir.
Okay. So where this will usually come out is when you go for the appointment, which is usually in the first couple minutes of the conversation before we even talk about real estate. We'll just start there for a starting point. So Joyce, it sounds like you guys have quite a bit on your plate, especially with homes like, with the personal property situation. There's a lot of things we can do right now to get started. Would Friday at 3 be a good time to sit down and talk at the house?
Absolutely.
Okay, and will your sister be able to make it?
No. Neither of my siblings are available, and they're not technology knowledgeable, and so they can't do anything via internet or anything like that. And he doesn't have internet or Wi-Fi in his house.
Fair enough. So, but everybody has a telephone, right?
Right.
So if you and I were to meet at the house on Friday around 3 o'clock and have a discussion, we could at least loop them in on a conference call.
Well, I would like to think that, but he said no.
Well, let's stay in role play because it makes it difficult if you're being Joyce and then you jump back out, it makes it difficult for the flow. So hit me with the objections and stay in character, and we can talk about what we did when we're done. Is that okay with you?
Right. I'm the executor.
Okay, so remember your core objection is my sister has a real estate agent that she wants to list with. You took me to another objection of, well, I can't get everybody there. And that's, I can deal with that. But let's just, anyways, remember your core objection. So, Joyce, I've got a spot on Friday at 3. I think, obviously it's really helpful for us if we can see the property and see the personal property situation. Then we know which person or persons on our team are going to be best to help you. So will that time work, and can your sister be there or at least be on the phone with us while we're there?
I work until 6, and I can't get home until 6:30. So I could see you at 6:30.
Okay, but that'll be fine. I mean, that's our family dinner time, but I can change that for sure. So I'll put you down for 6:30, and then you can call your sister and confirm and excuse me, let them know to be by the phone around, let's say, 6:45, 7 o'clock.
Sure. I just want you to know that she's pretty set on using her realtor friend.
Okay. And have you guys met with that person?
No. She's the only one who knows that person.
Okay. Do you think you could meet with them before we meet?
Well, if I can get hold of her, she lives in Las Vegas. If I can get hold of her and find out how to reach him, I'll try to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I find that most families that if you meet with me and then this other person's out there, you're going to wait to meet with them, and you're going to end up waiting days or weeks to get started. And usually, when folks meet with us, we like to get to work because when we see a problem, we like to become the solution. So if you think that there's someone out there better qualified than me, I would prefer you meet with them first. And then if you list the home with them, you can call me and tell me that you don't need to meet with me. But I highly doubt that's what's going to happen. The average realtor in the U.S. sells about 8 homes a year, and most of them don't have experience with probate, and they certainly don't have a whole team of people to help do things like clean out the house. As you said, you've got a pretty specific personal property challenge ahead of you. Now, just to help you understand, we have a clean out crew that will come in and get access to any personal property that will be valuable. We have an estate sale department that will handle the sale of any valuable property. They'll also donate anything that's left over. And then we have a cleaning crew that will come through and do the final clean and deliver it broom swept. At that point, we'll look at things like photography, staging, improvements, repairs, things to get us past the inspection, with really, with our eyes toward maximizing the equity, getting every drop of equity out of that home in as short amount of time as possible, and without you having to manage the process. We manage the process. So if you meet with the other realtor, there's, I would say, a 99% chance that they're not going to have a process in place like we do. But I know that we can make a mountain or we can make a molehill out of that mountain easily. And most realtors could take 6 to 8 weeks to even get into the point where they have the ability to provide that kind of service. So is it more important to the family that you're helped by that specific person, or that you have the highest level of service?
Well, my sister's pretty set on having this realtor of her friend. It's her friend.
But if that costs the estate money, are you willing to hold that position? If the estate stands to lose money or take longer to settle, is that the family's position?
I think I need to talk to my sister and see if I can, if there's any way that I can bring her off of that position.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do, because we're very busy and we have a full calendar. I'm canceling dinner with my family on Friday, and I don't take that lightly. So I'm going to put you on the calendar. I will be at the house at 6:30, slightly just a few minutes before. And if anything comes up, if you realize that you, no matter what, even if it costs you time and money, you're going to list with that person, just call me back by Thursday morning. Is that fair?
That's very fair. Yes, thank you.
Okay. And I'll send you. You said nobody uses email, so let me just give you a number that you can provide to them. It's 800-555-1234. And then the code is 12379, and then that'll get them into the conference line. If that's too confusing, we can just do a three-way call once we're there if there's any trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a couple hours of homework before we show up, just so we're really familiar with the property and the more familiar with the market around the property. And then when we get there, we learn about the property. So, have you got just a few minutes to answer a few questions for me?
Absolutely.
All right, and I'll break there. So this is a really common objection. It's usually, well, we've had a realtor for years that we love to use, or we've got a realtor in the family and she's struggling, and I don't know how we could not give her that listing. And I never want to drag them through the mud or say, well, who is this realtor? What company do they work for? My company's better than that company, because that never works. Like this, negatives rarely ever produce a positive. So what I try to do is encourage people to go ahead and meet with that agent. Now, you were digging in deep. So I did go ahead and show you a negative side of working with the wrong realtor, which I normally don't do, but I felt like it was necessary in this instance to kind of get your attention. But ideally, I want to get that other person there before me, and make sure, give you permission to cancel our appointment. I'm just going to make it tentative. It's just a micro commitment. And then after I kind of reset that conversation and say, hey, if you got a few minutes, I need to ask you a few more questions. Then we're going to talk about the specs, size, square footage, condition. Then we're going to talk about personal property. Then we're going to talk about finances. And then I'm going to wrap it up and close it with that insulation clause that you learned in Mastery, and kind of make sure that I give them points that will really contrast when they're meeting with anyone else, an investor, a realtor, whoever it is. I'm going to say things that are very specific, that are valuable to them, that I don't believe anyone else is going to say unless they're sitting on these phone calls. And I've found that I think I've gotten every one of those. The funniest one I had a house that it was, the lady called me, and it started out with a couple of anyways, this one, he told me, we've had the same realtor for 38 years. You're wasting your damn time, but whatever. I'll be over at the house on Friday around 10. And I was there at the house on Friday at 10. I got him to bring his wife, and we sat and we did a tour of the property. We sat in the kitchen and talked. I showed them everything that we could do to help. And the way I play a game, and you've been through Mastery, so you know this, but I've never had to ask for one of these listings. It's a game to see if I can provide so much value that they ask me, or they pull the paperwork out and start leafing through or signing it. And in this case, the guy, who's an older gentleman, he kind of crossed his arms, and he looked over at his wife with his brow down, and he's like, I don't know what the hell we're going to tell Sally. He pulled the paper out and signed the first page, even when there wasn't a signature box. And he had told me definitively, you will not get this listing. You are wasting your time. But I did what I needed to do to get in front of him, and when I did, I got the listing. And so you'll hear it a lot. Just stick with them, encourage them to meet with as many realtors as they want. Try to be the last one through the door. You're going to, if you stay engaged in this conversation, you have so many opportunities to show off the value that you can bring to the table, that if they do go meet with somebody else, they're going to realize the value. They'll better realize that, when they have something to compare it to, they're going to be like, holy crap, Joyce said all this stuff, and this person just talked about themselves the whole afternoon. And it looks way different. So that's the strategy I use.
Chad, you just triggered something in my memory from my real estate career. I can remember being in a situation like that and it was kind of a trial close, I would say, so do you want to go ahead and call Sally, or do you want me to call and say, the Johnsons feel really bad about listing with me, and they, so I just thought I'd call and tell you I twisted their arm and made them do it. Just kind of have a little bit of fun with it. And yeah, half the time they'd say, no, we'll call her, and half the time they'd say, yeah, would you mind? I don't have the nerve to call her. So that's a good. It's surprising how often that does work. It really does. And yeah, good job though. Great job. Does that help, Joyce?
Yes, indeed. Thanks a bunch.
Anything else, Joyce? We have no one else in the queue, guys. We have 88 people on the call. Got to be other people out there that have issues, things that they'd like to role play with our coach. We usually don't have enough time to cover everybody. So somebody out there, hit *6 and hit 1. While we're waiting, Joyce, is there anything else you want to role play? Okay, good. We got a second taker. So does that help, Joyce? Is there anything else you need any help with?
Just one thing. I wondered how to tell him. He was trying to sell everything in the house to get as much money as he could, and he had an estate sale, and it was just he and his wife, and people came in and started and just stole things and walked away. And he had a price on his stove, and I said to him, you won't be able to get financing if you don't keep that stove. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, I wanted to say, well, Chad told me that.
Great.
So how would you respond to that?
So they've already emptied the house?
No, it's not emptied by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of the good stuff was sold, and a lot of it stolen under their noses while they're trying to keep tabs on everybody that's in the house.
Yep. All right. Well, let's just jump back into it. So we're actually at the property. You've been to the property and seen it, right?
I have.
Okay. Joyce, I know there's a lot of stuff in here. One thing I noticed, it looks like you've got all the appliances, the major appliances, priced to sell. Did those sell at the sale, or are you still trying to sell those?
I'm still trying to sell those. I need as much money as I can pull together to get myself to Oregon to be with my family.
Sure. One of the concerns I have, especially with government loans, if a home doesn't have a heating source or certain appliances, sometimes the loan actually won't get approved. So I just want to make sure you understand the risk. Like you're probably going to get $125 for the range. I mean, is it worth not being able to sell for a market value? I mean, we're going to have to discount the price of the home a lot more than $125 if we can't sell to a conventional buyer. So are you comfortable taking that off and leaving the major appliances and fixtures in place?
Well, I didn't know that was a concern. How do you know that?
Well, this is what we do. I mean, we've helped hundreds of families, and I've done thousands of real estate transactions. It's just, it's not common knowledge unless you're in the industry. That's just one example of, the many things that we help. And the other thing that we haven't talked about is because this home is sitting vacant, even though you probably think it has insurance, it actually probably doesn't. So if it were to burn down tonight, chances are it's more likely than not that you actually wouldn't be covered for that loss unless you put a vacant policy in place. Have you talked to an insurance agent and made sure that you do have a vacant homeowner's insurance policy?
Well, no, I haven't done that. I really don't have time to do all that stuff.
Well, all you have to do is say yes and read the numbers off your credit card. I'll have David call you in the next 45 minutes. I'll give him the tax card. He can pull a quote based on the property details, and he'll call you with that number if you feel comfortable. He can bind it immediately with a credit card. You can be covered, and I mean, it will require less than 3 minutes of input from you. Is that reasonable?
That's very reasonable. Thank you.
Okay. So I just, there's a million different things that we could talk about. Rather than put a giant intimidating checklist in front of you, we kind of progress through the relationship with our clients as we fix things in the order we see in your best interest. So do you trust that I am the right person to kind of help you through this and lead you through, and we can have that kind of a relationship, or do you still want to go meet with your sister's agent and hope like hell that they have the experience I do?
Oh, I just couldn't get around going to with my sister with the real estate agent that she is so set on.
Okay. Well, here's what I'll do. I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. I'll have David go ahead and lock the policy. I'll call you back in 7 days. And if you guys haven't gotten all these if this house still has personal property in it and you still have all these problems that haven't been dealt with and that realtor is not proactively helping you, I'm asking you, are you willing to reconsider and work with a team that's going to have your best interest in mind and actually has the knowledge and experience to guide you through this?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
So
very good.
What
Very
I'm doing there, Joyce, I'm pretending to give you space. I'm saying I'll give you 7 days so you can realize they screwed up. But chances are you're going to process that. You're going to talk to your sister, and then you're going to come back and go, listen, I talked to her, and that other person's just not qualified. We want to go ahead and meet tomorrow. Can we just get started with this? So I led with value. You gave me an objection. I've defeated that and told you all I need is 3 minutes and a credit card so that you're covered. So I was layering in value and fear kind of on top of each other. So you'll hopefully get off the phone. You'll process the conversation, and you'll hear from me inside of 7 days. I'll find a reason to reach back out to you just to check on you, to check on something, to make sure David called and you got the insurance policy set up. So that'll probably be tomorrow, because David will, in the next 45 minutes, he will call and he will bind the policy. And I know that, but I'm going to call you tomorrow to make sure that he took care of you. And that gives us another opportunity for an engaging conversation. And without me having you all the way out of your comfort zone, I'll start over and I'll come at you again with value. And at that point, I'm going to ask for your sister's phone number. And we're going to get on the, I'm actually going to ask for it, and I'm going to be typing it into my phone, and we're going to be on a 3-way call. Because the quicker I can include her, the sooner I can help you.
That sounds like a wonderful approach. I'm going to use it.
That's great, Joyce. Call back and let us know how it goes. We appreciate it. We got 3 more in the queue, Chad. Joyce, thanks for getting us started today. You gave other people a chance to come up with some things to talk about. Next up is phone number ending in 7671. You're up next.
Hi, this is Barbara from Florida.
Hey, Barbara.
I had a similar situation. I just want to see what your take is on this. The original PR received my letter and called me. But what had happened, the home is not in the probate because it's homesteaded. However, there's one, we'll call her the evil sister, who coerced the original PR to relinquish her position as PR. The original PR had called me. I met with her. She was not talking to the other sister. She had given her the key to the home, and I attempted, of course, to call the evil sister, and she ignored me. And then a few days later, she called me back to say she has a realtor already, and I asked her, did you sign? And she said no, and I made it clear to the one that originally called me, since 3 names are on the deed, you're all going to have to come to some kind of agreement. And the other sister called me to say that she was listing with the other realtor because he has 2 homes on the block, and I didn't hear anything, and I just pointed out to the original sister, the original PR, that that agent, that home has been on the market for 90 days, and gee, why won't you give me a shot, you know? But the bottom line is, they listed with the other realtor. Was there anything else I could have done?
So this is why I tell, like, one of the big reasons we focus on people and situation is because having as many details as possible about the people and the situation they're in helps you find things to use rather than throwing mud at another realtor saying, his listings have been on the market for X number of days, or his company this or that. Like, you don't have to do that. You can take the high road and say, you know, if you ask good questions and find out what's the personal property situation, what's the money situation, what's bothering them the most, like what's the biggest challenge, then you can start to pull on those things and put a positive spin on it. So is there anything like that you guys talked about? Like, is there personal property in the home? Is it vacant? Does it have insurance?
Well, there is, but she's cleaning it out. She's taking care of it. I even offered to, you know, have a clean-out company come and try to help her. I said, gee, I'd like to meet with you and your husband. I left it very open that I didn't say any of this to the one that was cleaning it out. I said this to the one that she already trusted me and liked me, and she wanted me to you know, be her realtor. However, the sister had control over it, and she just decided on her own that this is what she was doing no matter what. And
okay, I think I got enough to go on. So let's jump in. You're going to be who you've titled the evil sister, and I challenge you to get that out of your mind because that's got a negative connotation that you're going to think of every.
Well, keep calling her.
I'm serious. You have one side of the story, and you're basing your perception on one side of the story. So you need to build rapport with her and hear her side, because there may not be malicious intent. Maybe the other sister was screwing up, and her ego won't tell you the truth because that's embarrassing, right? So just keep that in mind before you label her evil. And she may very well be. You have contact with her and I don't, but it doesn't really serve you to think that she's a bad person making bad decisions. It's not going to work out well. So anyways, we'll jump back in. So what was her name? I'll use your name. Ring ring.
Call her Cheryl.
We'll go with Barbara. Ring ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm trying to reach Barbara.
Yeah, this is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara, my name's Chad. Your sister may have told you I was going to call. I spoke to her a couple of days ago about your parents' estate, and she asked me to follow up with you and said that you were the best person to speak with because you were kind of making decisions now. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And did she explain kind of what we do and why we reached out, how we might be able to help?
No, we don't really talk. We haven't talked.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you had. So, well, the reason we reached out and she called us in the beginning, we have a team of people here in Florida that we help families that are going through probate. So as part of that, we actually, from the time you file probate, we try to reach out to families early because we realize how challenging it can be if you're not equipped. And we've kind of built a team that we can, essentially we turn mountains into molehills. So getting homes cleaned out, fixed up, sold, or turned into rental properties or transferred to other family members, all the way to helping you understand how you can take the distribution that comes to you as an heir in and know what your options are to reinvest that if you want to. So we do a lot of things to help throughout the process and even after the probate process. And it usually starts with us just meeting, for a quick conversation so we can understand your full situation and who we need to bring in to help. And then we kind of go from there. So I was just calling mainly to see if I've got one spot on my calendar Monday at around 5 o'clock p.m. Would that be a good time for us to sit down and chat?
No, I already have a realtor, And I was supposed to be the heir. My sister shouldn't have been on there because Dad loved me better. They shouldn't have been
Okay.
on there to begin with, and now I'm the PR, and I'm going to pick the realtor.
Okay. Well, it seems like you think I'm trying to bamboozle you or something. Your tone completely changed.
Yeah, well, I already have it handled. There's a realtor on the block that I'm happy with, and you know, my sister talked to you, and I'm handling it now.
Okay. Well, it just seems like you're giving me your sister's reputation, and that's not fair. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes,
So
but
can we start over?
the thing is, I already have it handled. I already, you know, I'm controlling everything. I have to say, not my sister.
I understand, and I understand you have the authority, and I think I've validated that by calling you and recognizing it. So the reason I'm calling is I know some facts that you and I haven't gotten to yet, but the fact is you've got a house full of personal property that's sitting empty that probably doesn't have insurance, and if it burns tonight, you lose everything. And you've got a person on the other end of the line that's trying to help you, but you're semi-attacking me just because I've spoken to your sister, and I'm just trying to be an intermediary and get the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. I've got other people to call if you want me to leave you alone.
Yeah, because I got it handled, and I got it handled. My sister has nothing to do with this. I'm in charge now.
So what insurance company did you write your vacant insurance policy with? So if you can have a complete loss of the house, the estate still gets the value. Do you know
Well,
which
we've
company
been back and
you bound with?
forth. I don't think we need that because we've been back and forth. In fact, we're staying here for a week or two, and I don't think we need that.
Okay, well that's I'm telling you, you do need it. I'm telling you, if you look at the homeowner policy, you'll see that in the fine print, they're not going to cover it even though you're there every few days. Nobody's living in the dwelling, and you're completely exposed, but your ego is not letting you hear what I'm saying. If the house burns tonight, the family loses everything, and all I'm trying to do is help. I can have a guy named David get a binder or get a policy in place within 5 minutes, and I can show you that my intent is not malicious and I'm not your sister. I'm just trying to help you. If you don't want help and you don't want to know that you're working with one of the most qualified teams in town to help in your situation, then I won't waste my time. But if you want help, I'd love to have a more civil conversation with you face-to-face and show you how we can make this a hell of a lot easier for you. We haven't even talked about getting a house cleaned out and how people oftentimes who try to do it themselves, they end up with, property and even cash getting stolen during the sale because they just can't monitor everything. We have all that stuff in place. We can sell it for more money. We have donation channels set up. All I need is an opportunity to sit down and show you what we have in place so you can actually see we're a good solution for you. You just have to listen.
Well, I have to talk to my husband, and I'll give you a call back. I want to see what my husband has to say about all this.
Good luck to you.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
So I gave you 3 or 4 passes. If that's the person that you're on the other end of the phone with, you don't want that listing.
Yeah.
Like if people can't set their ego aside enough to listen to what's being said, to hell with them. I don't want them to be my client. And I learned a long time ago who I do business with and who I don't, and I would not do business with that person.
Well, see, this
because
is what
they are
happened.
as soon as the smallest little thing happens in your transaction, and I don't know how your business runs, but just about every real estate deal I've ever done, something went sideways unexpectedly.
Yep.
And as soon as that happens, that person is going to melt down and project all of that anger and fear onto you, and it's all going to be your fault. And I don't have time for those people.
Yeah. Well, this is what actually happened. I didn't, the conversation was civil. However, I called up. I said, gee, I'd like to, come into the house to take a look. I had a request for a market analysis, and I was very sweet and nice. And she said, I have to talk to my husband, and never called me back. Then I called her. I waited a few days. I called her up. I said, gee, I'd like to, or actually she called me up. I'm sorry. She called me up and informed me that she had another realtor. And I knew that she didn't list because I checked both MLSs. And I said, oh, did you list yet? I said, I'd like an opportunity to talk to you and your husband. I said I could help with the clean out. I could, help you in other ways. I didn't say anything bad about the other realtor at all. I said, and then she said, well, I'll have to call you back. I'm going to talk to my husband. And then 3-4 days later, I tried to call the other sister, and she was at work. She couldn't talk, and all of a sudden I see them listed. So evidently she took over, and she convinced her that she was doing it. So, but
Sure.
from what I understand, she's a difficult person. They're not talking. How could you do anything? And I even said to her, gee, you all have to come to an agreement. All 3 names are on the deed, and you all have to come to some kind of agreement. So I'm just checking to see what else I could have done.
I think you've done all you could. I mean, my next play would have been, I'm going to go ahead and call David. I'm going to get get an insurance quote, and then I'm going to either I'll probably drop it in the mailbox with a handwritten letter saying, our conversation didn't go that well, but I still want to help. I highly, highly recommend you set aside your disdain for your sister and me and get this in place right now. By the way, this is one of many things that we do for every client. You've got a lot of other exposure that you don't know about because this is your, you don't know what you don't know. Call me if I can help. And I might follow up a day later, when the day the letter comes, and try to re-engage with her. But other than that, I mean, the only thing you can do is do you have a good cash buyers list?
Not really.
Okay.
No, but she wants
because if it were me, I would reopen the conversation with an offer, and I would go in and make them an offer of about 70 cents on the dollar, and I would call and hand deliver. I would call her to deliver my investor's offer.
All right.
But keep your eye on that one. Do you feel like it's fairly priced? Like, did they do a good job with the listing?
No, they overpriced it.
Okay.
They overpriced it.
Wonder why I asked. So
it sounds like you escaped that listing. Not that you didn't get it. It sounds like you escaped it. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
But Barbara, keep your eye on that listing, and look for when it expires, and call her back. Maybe even just touch base with her and say, listen, I looked at the MLS listing for your house, and I just wanted to make some suggestions. And, you might try that. Now, you may, it might not be worth it. I think Jim's right. Like, I probably would have, I walked away from 2 listings, and I would walk away from, this will be my 3rd.
Yep. Next. and next up in the queue is phone number ending in 4459. You're up next.
What's going on, Chad?
Hey.
Hey, it's Rob Bean. How are you?
Hey, Rob. Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Did you find you a broker?
I went and talked to him. I listed that house about 10% below market like we talked about, and I've got 3 offers on it so far, and we're picking one Friday.
What do you know? It works.
How about that? Weird, huh? So I started my first call today.
Okay.
And I called one of the numbers. I didn't leave a message yet. I figured I'd try to hit them 2 or 3 different times before I actually left a message. within 5 minutes, I had a call back from someone else, but wanted to know if I wanted me to make them an offer to buy their house. And because I guess it was my first time going through, and it threw me off, they called back almost immediately wanting an offer. I didn't follow the flow and get all the information. It just threw me off a little bit. I wasn't expecting it. So that's what happened to me this morning.
Okay. You want to role play it?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Inbound it. You call me.
Ring, ring.
Hello, it's Chad.
Yes, I just had a missed call from this number. I was returning the call.
Oh, what was your name?
My name's Rob.
That's a better question.
Rob.
Oh, Rob Bean, right?
Right.
You're quick on the trigger, Rob. I think I left you a voicemail just maybe 2 minutes ago. Did you happen to listen to that?
No, my daughter called me and said maybe you want to buy my house. Is that the case? You want to buy my house?
Well, I don't know yet, but that sounds like an interesting proposition. Tell me about it.
104 Constitution Drive. It's 1 bedroom, 3 bath, built in '73.
Okay. And anything else? I mean, so today I was calling families that were in probate, and that's one of the things we offer. That must be what your daughter thought was most relevant. I mean, tell me a little bit about, like, do you guys need help with anything else? Like, is it just the house? Is it already empty and cleaned out, ready to go, or is there a tenant in it? Tell me a little more about your situation.
We were just looking for a cash offer, not having to do any repairs.
Okay. So is there a tenant in the house or a family member?
I didn't get that far.
So
that's what threw me off.
That's
what threw me off.
So when you get blindsided, I mean, these are things. Just don't let it freak you out. I mean, what do you need to know to make an offer on a home, right? You need to know what like, do I have access to it? What condition is it in? I'm going to try to feel you out and see what your number is. And then if I feel like we're in the ballpark of an offer, I'll set an appointment. Otherwise, I'm going to set an appointment with you and my realtor. So that's the path I was heading down. I needed to find out, like, what I'm trying to do is investigate whether or not you need more help than just a cash offer, because the more gambits I can get on the table, the more things you and I have to negotiate over. And the more things that are there to negotiate, the more wins I can give you in this conversation, right? So I'm trying to do a little bit of investigative work where most people will go straight to the house and talk about price, and it's just business. I'm trying to drag some more information out of you to give you a chance to kind of, build rapport and bond with me as we can talk about those things. So if you tell me that you got a family member living in the house, I'm going to ask, do they have do they know where they're moving to, and do they need help? Because we have moving companies, storage facilities. We even have property managers that can help make sure family members get suitable housing quickly. I'll highlight the problem and then provide a solution. And I'll do that until I feel like you're real comfortable with me, and then we can move into the to the real estate and the business side of it. If we're virtually wholesaling, if I'm going to the house, I'm just going to move into the appointment and then meet you there and handle the business face to face.
Congratulations on getting results right away. I have to ask, did you say it was a 1-bedroom, 3-bath?
Correct.
Wow, that's going to be the cleanest neighborhood in town. A 1-bedroom with 3 bathrooms? That's crazy.
Oh, wait, no, that's that backwards?
I think you did, yeah. I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I said, that's going to be the cleanest neighborhood in town. I had to ask.
I doubt it's quite the cleanest neighborhood in town. It's like a $30,000 house.
Okay, got it.
So where did that end up, Rob?
I sat down at the computer and pulled it up on Zillow real quick and just kind of looked at it and kept her on the phone for a minute. And she's down in Florida. She's coming up. We're going to try to meet Sunday afternoon, maybe Monday morning. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
The end goal is an appointment at the house with the lady. I mean, that's what I went to, but it just threw me off so much. You know, I am an investor, so I didn't even think to ask about tenants or if anybody's in there, or if there's property. It just completely threw me off guard. So I wanted to get something on the role play that I could go back and listen to, because I'm back to, I think, role play number 19 now. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why I try to explain. So the reason I was doing that is because I got blindsided. One, it gives me some space to catch up with you and realize who you are. You very quickly gave me the property address, so that means I can start doing some research. But the more information, the more good questions I ask, the more different I look than anyone else she's speaking to. And the more information I have to really wow you with, you know, with the options that I'll provide when I get there on Sunday or Monday. So that's where I was going with it. I was just trying to get more information on people and situation. So when she pits me against 4 other investors and stacks the appointments on top of each other, I'm going to shine like a damn diamond when I show up beside of those other guys.
So I need to touch base with her probably tomorrow maybe and hit her with those questions and dig a little deeper.
I would call back with a few, like, you know, just say, hey, listen, Marion, I was doing some research and I just had a couple questions. Have you got 5 minutes? Okay, great. So I just want to make sure I'm prepared when we meet on Sunday. Is it Sunday or Monday we're meeting? It's in my calendar, but that's not in front of me.
Monday.
Monday, okay. Okay, so whenever we meet on Monday, and I was looking, I mean, I found all the details on the house. One thing I did forget to ask you, and you know, you call. I wasn't expecting your call, but I'm glad you called. What's the occupancy situation? Is there a family member living there, or is it vacant right now, or are you guys renting it? And then just jump back into the conversation, but show them why you're asking and you know why you're calling back, and then start to what you want to feel out is what's the personal property situation, and is there a plan for it? What's the financial situation? And you know they've already told you they want to sell it as is, where is. But you could say, listen, I know you guys called me to make you a cash offer, and I'm happy to do that. It's important to me though that you know all your options. So one of the things that we try to discuss with everybody is, you know, what it looks like if you sell it this week versus over a 30 or 60 or 90-day period. And what would is it more important to you that you get it sold quickly or for the most money?
That's negotiable.
Okay, so you're not sure. You're looking for options, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, that's why I called back. I wanted to make sure that we at least show you everything that's available to you. And one of those things is, you know, the house in its best condition, better than new condition. But that requires a lot of financial risk and a lot of time to get it to that point, right? So I don't know. I mean, does that sound like something you even want to discuss, or is it you just want this done quickly?
I just want it done quick, really.
Okay. So we're only going to look at 2 possible scenarios. One being I'll close as soon as title comes back, which is usually in 3 or 4 days, or an as-is, where-is sale where we can maybe get a little more money, but it's going to take us 45 to 60 days. Would you be willing to wait a month or a month and a half or 2 months, or do you just have to have a fast solution?
It probably depends on the difference in the amount of money. I mean, I would prefer a fast solution and just move on. But,
okay. Well,
you know, it depends on the difference.
Sure. And I'll do my homework and I'll show you both. I mean, we'll look at both scenarios side by side, and you can pick whichever one you think is best for you. So I'll be there on Monday. We'll talk more about that, and then I'll break script, and I would you know, find some more details. If you didn't get enough details in your first pass, this is where you kind of go back and ask about, you know, is there you know, tell me about the personal property. Tell me what the plan is for that. Would you rather just sell it with the personal property, or would you rather get more money for the personal property by selling it separately? And start to put those gambits out there on the table. Because if you get hung up on price as an investor, you're kind of like most investors negotiate one thing, price. And when they get hung up on price, they're painted into a corner. So if you can get all these gambits out on the table, all the other investors are going to be negotiating on one variable, price. But you can be negotiating on price, terms, personal property. Like, who knows what things you can uncover by focusing on the person. Like, one example that we've seen is you have a family member that the family wants to sell the home, but you have a mentally challenged family member living there that doesn't have suitable housing lined up. So if you can go out, meet with a social worker, HUD actually provides vouchers for these folks for long-term, like long-term tenancy in nice places. And a social worker is going to do all the work. But if you do that, you're going to blow their socks off. If you take care of Cousin Jerry, if you know Cousin Jerry's living in that house and you proactively go get a social worker to call her and get a HUD voucher for Cousin Jerry to go live in this nice facility, you can oftentimes get it at a lower price than the guy who's just negotiating on price with a higher number, because you're providing real value and a real solution. So that's what I'm looking for, is like, give me any problem I can put on the table, and then I'm going to bring a solution on Monday. And if we get hung up on price, I'm going to have all these other things to talk about that are valuable to you.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Okay, great. Got a lot of background noise with you, Rob. We have 4 more in the queue. Does that help? Any other questions?
It does. That's fine. I got to go into work. I'm around helicopters and stuff. So.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating. Sure. Next up is phone number ending in 2306. You're up next.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I had a question in regards to calling people who tell me that, oh, I already have a family member in line to purchase my house. Now, of course, I know that their family member is probably going to get the deal instead of me. So how do you get around the whole family member thing?
Well, let's jump into it. What was your name?
My name is Brian.
Brian? All right, so I'm going to skip like the beginning of this, and I'll just say, well, Brian, listen, it sounds like, you're in a position where we could really help. I mean, would you want to meet up on Friday around 3:30 so we can chat about it?
That's the thing. I actually have someone in my family who reached out to me and told me they expressed an interest in buying my house and buying buying this house.
That's great. I mean, we've helped a lot of families do that, and a lot of families in the beginning thought they didn't need help, but they didn't really fully understand, applying for a loan, qualifying for a loan, handling the transaction. I mean, do you feel like you have all that handled? Do you have a good understanding of contract law, and you know how to protect the estate and make sure that you're protecting your family member at the same time?
Oh yeah, I'd love to, but I trust my family member. I trust him.
No, I'm sure, but do you know how to fill out the paperwork and make sure that everything's done correctly so they're protected and you're protected?
Well, I have
a lot of. Okay, so the attorney's willing to do that for you?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Okay, well that's fine. So like I said, we've helped a lot of families do that. Well, let's talk about the overall situation. I mean, is the house ready for sale? Does it need any repairs to pass inspections, or do you have personal property in there that needs to be removed? What's the overall? So what needs to be done beforehand?
Well, it's outdated, and there's still a lot of there's a lot of old stuff that needs to be thrown out. But my family member told me that it's okay. He'll take care of throwing away everything else out.
Okay. It sounds like you got the perfect situation. Someone else is going to give you money and do all the work. So there's one thing that I know I can do to help. We work with a lot of lenders, but the one that I think would kind of be best for your all situation is my friend Joe. And Joe's with Atlantic Bay Mortgage. They're the largest lender in the area. If it's okay with you, the first step you need to make sure is, can the family member qualify? And if not,
right,
can someone else in the family step up? And that's where most families, I would say 80% of family members who think they're going to buy a house end up not buying that house because they just simply aren't in a position to. So I mean, does this family member already own a home that they have to sell first, or are you sure? Do you know that?
No, I think the family member wants to buy it because he knows he can get it for a deal, and
Right.
I think it's in a great area. That's why. And I drove by the house, and it needs some work. But when I called this person up, told me that they already had someone in line. And then I told them, okay, that's fine. I said, do you feel obligated to sell it to this person? And they told me kind of, yeah, because it's a family member. And I said, oh, okay, great. Well, what's important for you to sell it to this family member? And, she told me, oh, because, it's easy. They know the property already, and they can just buy it, and it's we keep it in family. And I kind of got caught up. So I told her, okay, I'll give her a call if anything. I'll give her a call in about a week to see if that's still her plan. So
I was working on two things there. The reason I was saying what I was working on, can I help you in a limited agency capacity?
Right.
Like, will you give me $500 to just make sure that the contract's properly written and executed? And if you had the attorney, so you took that one off the table. The next one I was looking at is, can I help you with the personal property situation and maybe get some business for my estate sale company? You kind of took that one off the table. The other one was, can I generate some business for my lender and find out quicker if the family member's qualified or not, and still be in the loop on that conversation. So even if you're not talking to me, my lender's going to go, yeah, they can't tell you details, but they can say, yeah, we approved them for they're pre-approved or they're approved. And then you just back off and know that, the families, they got what they wanted. But if they don't get approved and you're the first one to know about it, you can call back and just say, hey, listen, I was calling to check in and see, how things are going. Have you heard back from Joe? And then, if that comes off the table, if they simply can't buy, then you're the first person there to talk to. Now, where I didn't take it, as you gave some more details after our role play, I started to think, what's the family member's end game? I was assuming, and that was incorrect, by the way, but I was assuming the family member was buying it as a primary residence. But then you said they're buying it because they're getting a great deal, and I thought, damn it, I forgot to ask why they were buying it. So is the family member buying it to flip, or are they going to live in it?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think they're going to live. I mean, it's in a great area, which gives the family member good reason to buy it. But at the same time, when I drove past it, it wasn't in the best shape. We're talking about the shingles were falling off the roof, and I thought to myself, I said, wow, this can be either a really great place to live in, or this could be like, a nice little flip for the buyer, because I actually listed.
So we're running short on time, but I want to show you my point. The reason I penalize myself for missing that is I just missed an opportunity to write a loan. So if the family member is buying the home and that's what the family wants, I don't want to get in the way of that. I don't want to compete with the family and try to beat his offer. That's just not the right thing to do, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. However, if that family member is buying this as an investment home and they're going to flip it, I want to be the lender. I want to charge him 2 points up front and 15% interest and hope like hell he screws up, because then I double my money. Yeah. So there's an opportunity for you to get them to a conventional lender, turn yourself into a private lender and write the mortgage for the family member, get them to a clean out crew, get them to, your insurance guy. So you can kind of just look around that wheel, all the people on your team, and be like, okay, who can I bring in here to keep this conversation going? But there's a lot of opportunity in every one of these. You just have to think creatively. And if like, I'm going to focus on the family's goals first. Like, I want that family member to get that house if they're qualified. And if they're going to live in it, I'll get them over to Joe and he can write them a conventional loan. Or I'll get them over to my buddy at Prime Lending and he can write them a construction loan if I'm not in a position to write the loan as a private lender. But what I was trying to show you is just there's so many different things that you can do to help, and the more information you have about the situation and what's motivating them, the quicker you can get to those solutions on the fly.
All right. Does that help, Brian?
That did. That definitely did.
Excellent. Chad, we have we always try to cut the mastermind calls, make them exactly an hour. We have 3 more in the queue. Are you on a tight schedule, or do you want to take one, or do you want to take a couple more?
Let me look at my calendar. I didn't even realize we were over. Yes, let's go.
All right, we're gonna as brief as possible, guys. But let's try to get to everyone in the queue and everybody who's on the call. We started out with 100 people, and we still got almost 90 left. So we're going to go a little bit over to try to get to everybody today. Next up is phone number ending in 0617. You're up next.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Sergio. I'm here in Phoenix. I know this is a role play call. I didn't realize it wasn't the mastermind one, but I got my first batch of leads today. I went through the orientation earlier this week and was kind of listening to some of the objections earlier, and just wanted to see if there was a way to go through, a basic phone call right off the bat. And I'm trying to figure out how to start these letters. I have an assistant here that I would prefer to kind of do that for me. Just wanted to see how I could go about that.
Sure. And Chad, you want to tell him on the role play calls where he can find that on the previous calls, maybe, or do you want to do it real quick?
Yeah. So in the interest of time, Sergio, it's about a 15-minute full conversation to do it.
Gotcha.
It's in length. So go to the alltheleads.com. A couple ways you can get to these. The thorough way, I guess. If you go to the complete system, or I think it's the system, the probate system, and then conference call video archive.
Okay.
In the top menu, that'll take you to a list of every call we've ever done, and they're organized by year and by month. And then when you click into a month, it gives you 4 masterminds and 1 role play for each month. A quicker way to find it, and a quicker way to find any content, is go to the top right in the search bar and type in role play, or type in initial conversation more specifically. And it'll take you to only the role play calls where we discuss the initial conversation. And that's where we kind of slow down and go through the entire conversation. So there's probably, I would say, 15 different role plays in there where we started from the beginning and went all the way through the kind of the long form conversation.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I appreciate that. I won't keep up time for that. I can go through the role play calls and find that one. But
and come back tomorrow. Come back on our mastermind call tomorrow. We can talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. Thank you.
Sergio, the second part of your question, was it a question or a statement about your assistant doing the mail?
I already moved on to the next one, Chad. Sorry. I cut him off already, but go ahead. Yeah. Next up is phone number ending in 2282. You're up next.
Hey, Chad. This is Dee Dee calling.
Hey, Dee Dee.
I was calling just to do a really brief. I had my first phone call on Sunday, and the initial PR contacted me. However, the wife died 6 weeks later, and so his sister became the PR. I spoke to the sister also on Sunday. However, she said that she's not interested in selling the property because they did a refinance basically the same year they died, and on top of that, they have high medical bills. So she did not feel like it would be worth it to sell the property or even short sale the property. Do I have any other approach with this?
So there are medical judgments against them and liens against the house?
I don't know if there are actual liens against the house. I mean, I'm sure it is since it's been a whole year. But she felt, I saw a $100,000 profit margin from what she told me that they owe. But I don't know what the medical bills are. So I'm waiting on an attorney to give me feedback if she would have to pay the mother's medical bill as well as the husband's medical bill.
Walk me back through the lineage here. I missed something. So a death occurred. The first death that occurred was who?
The husband.
The husband.
And then her mother died 6 weeks later. No, 6 weeks later.
And the daughter, who was the executor on the husband's estate?
His son.
Okay. And then the daughter is the executor on the mother's estate.
Yes.
And both, was there a will for the father or the mother or both?
No.
Okay,
There's
so
no will.
they stepped forward as the administrators. The son wasn't an executor and the daughter wasn't the executrix. They were appointed as administrators, right?
Yes. However, the daughter
Okay.
has not taken it to probate. The son did, but she has not, because an attorney advised her to just let it go into foreclosure since there were medical bills. So I don't know if that's the right approach either.
Well, it seems like, I mean, an attorney would be greatly mistaken to say that if they knew there was equity, and I highly doubt that's the case. I would
Okay.
say the attorney understood that there was negative equity, and that was his suggestion.
Okay.
So is the sister going to file a separate probate for the mother, so then her and her brother will both be administrators, or are they going to?
No,
is the
it
brother
would have
gonna
just been it would have just been her, but I don't think she's going to do it since she's not going to get anything out of it.
Well, somebody has to do it. The estate still has to be probated, so someone has to be the administrator.
I don't think she's going to probate it. I think she's just going to let the property foreclose. That's what she stated.
That might, and like it'll just, eventually someday, if there's any property at all, that's what this is what happens when you see a probate filing that was filed yesterday and the death was in 1994, because the family just said to hell with it and moved on. But then eventually they go to move a piece of property or refinance something or sell a car, and then they realize they have to go back and retroactively probate the estate. So is there any other property in the estate? Any retirement accounts or vehicles or RVs or anything like that?
No, the house is the only property.
It probably won't become a problem for her then, and that's
Yeah.
probably why the attorney suggested to just walk away.
Walk away. Okay.
But the play here is if you can get her to engage. I mean, the only play you have is a short sale. But in order to do that, you would need to have her go file probate and go through all that process just to short sell the house. And there's not a hell of a lot of incentive there for her if there's no property other than the house.
Right.
It's just going to be a bunch of work, and she might be able to feel like she did the right thing, but ultimately she's getting nothing, right?
Nothing, exactly.
Now, the only other thing that you can do is hospitals are very willing to negotiate on judgments. So if you can find an attorney that specializes in that, and you can approach the hospital and say, listen, you know and I know we can't get blood from a turnip. We'll pay you 10 cents on the dollar, or you can take nothing. And if you can get them to release the liens and release the judgment, I mean, the judgment doesn't matter because it's on a deceased person. But if you can buy down that debt or negotiate down that debt, then you might have equity in the property. So if you've got a $250,000 hospital lien against the property and it's only worth $100, but you can get that $250 down to $25,000, then all of a sudden you just created a hell of a lot of motivation for her to engage with you, right?
Exactly.
So you might look in your market and see if you can find an attorney who negotiates medical liens and judgments.
Okay.
And talk to that attorney first and say, here's the situation. I'm calling you first to make sure I have the right partner to work with. I don't have all the details, but here's the broad strokes. Do you think you can do anything with this? It would be best if you knew what the amount of those medical liens and judgments were.
Yeah, I'm going to call her tomorrow.
Yeah, the easiest way is to call her. Otherwise, you can go to the courthouse and do a preliminary title search and just look and see what's recorded against the deed. But there is a chance. I mean, if there's a good negotiator in town, there's a damn good chance you can make a deal out of this.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Awesome.
All right. Okay, thank you. Last up this week, and thank you everybody for being so patient, is phone number ending in 7017. You're up last.
Yeah, hi. So today is actually the first time I've done probate calls, and one of the things that I've been getting is that they're not sure yet what they want to do with their property, and it sounds like they're still like right in the thick of things. So how do
probate
I kind
quicksand.
What?
We call it probate quicksand. Yeah, sure.
that usually comes out when I go for the appointment early. So what was your name?
Mark.
Hey, Mark, I've got a spot on my calendar at 4 o'clock on Monday. Would that be a good time for us to sit down and chat so you can at least kind of understand what we – I'm sorry?
What are we sitting down about? Why are you calling
Well,
me?
you interrupted me. I was about to tell you. Is this a bad time if I call you back?
No, it's okay. I'm listening.
Okay. Well, we try to start with sitting down with the family. We can kind of help you understand what it is we can do. And oftentimes that helps families see kind of like, because a lot of times families just don't know where to start. And by showing you kind of our step-by-step process, you can start to see, take it down into bite-sized chunks where it looks like a manageable task. And what you'll find is that we're actually going to take most of the work on, so you just need to make some decisions, and then we'll go do what needs to be done for you. So would Monday be a good time to have that talk?
Sure.
Damn, you rolled right over.
That was too easy.
You have to slow them down and show them it's okay. You don't know what you don't know. And one of the things that I teach a lot, you'll hear me talk about in these calls, is feel, felt, found. So I understand how you feel, and I'm validating that. Most of my best clients felt the exact same way. They were just overwhelmed. They didn't know where to start. What they found is a 30-minute conversation put their mind at ease because they realized we were going to do 90% of the work that they were so stressed out about. So Monday at 4 is great for me. How about you? Remember that. Feel, felt, found.
Feel, felt, found. Okay. And as far as the process is besides selling the property, do you guys charge something for those services, or you put something on top? Because the main way of making money as a real estate agent is selling the property. So the other stuff, how does that work?
All the other stuff is a marketing hook, but they don't know that. What we teach is you become the hub and the wheel, and you make money on one or more spokes, but all the other spokes are independent businesses from yours. But as far as the personal representative is concerned, it looks like a vertically integrated single solution. And you'll find when you're talking with them, they're like, where the hell are your all's offices? You must own like 2 city blocks, because they literally think all this stuff is under one roof. And that's what we want it to look like, because that really differentiates us from anyone else in the mailbox or on the phone. But the reality is we're not taking any of that business, any of that money through our books. We're not absorbing any liability or responsibility. We're just partnering with vendors who we can trust, that we know will show up and do what we promised they would. And I don't try to get commissions or referrals or anything off of that. It's complete value exchange. So if I bring my lender in, I know that eventually my lender is going to send me a referral. If I bring an estate sale company in, they're going to send me a family that they've been able to reach and I haven't.
What are the list of services that we can provide for them besides selling the property, obviously?
So the spokes, and we do have a graphic for this, and I posted it in our Facebook group last night. I was answering this question. So look on Facebook.
What's the group called?
All the Leads Mastermind.
All the Leads Mastermind.
And there's a post from last night where I commented on this thing, but you look for that rainbow colored wheel. So the spokes consist of a real estate agent or broker, a real estate investor, a contractor, clean out crew, estate sale company, nursing home, senior moving company, social workers, you name it. It continues to build. As you uncover unique situations, you keep adding spokes to the wheel for those solutions. So no matter what someone can possibly bring to you, you have a solution or you'll have one in place tomorrow. And then what I said I always say, and what I said in that Facebook post, do not feel like you have to have all that done before you start. Because if you need a social worker to get a surviving spouse into suitable public housing because she doesn't have a dime to her name, then you'll go find that social worker and get her taken care of. You'll be motivated to do that. So don't feel like you have to build this dream team before you pick up the phone. Just know that you have the capacity and we've got your back. If you need help, you can get those people. So speak confident, market confidently, knowing that you can deal with anything that's thrown at you. You might not have it today, but you can have it tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, this concludes our longest role play call ever. We only do this once a month, so I didn't want to leave any questions unanswered. This was a really good one. I want to thank everybody. More than 2/3 of you stayed till the very end. And I always end these calls the same way. I want to thank you for being here, thank everybody who participated, and I want to challenge each of you to take one idea, one thought, one technique that Chad showed you on the call today and go out and put it into practice and come back and share the results with the rest of the group. And next call, or next time we'll get together is 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow for our mastermind call. Thank you very much, guys. Make it a great day. Thanks for being here, and we will talk to you soon.